Good morning, Santa Clarita. I thought it was time to come back together again and provide the latest update on the coronavirus and its impacts here in the city of Santa Clarita. I know that the last several weeks have been challenging, but I can say firsthand that the efforts that we are doing here in Santa Clarita have gone a long way to flatten the curve, reduce the numbers, and get us closer to seeing a return to our new normal. We know that since my last update, the city of Santa Clarita experienced an additional fatality as a result of the coronavirus, which brings the total within our community to 4 confirmed corona-related deaths. We know that every death and every life every death every person that we lose impacts many more, and the challenges of saying goodbye and the inability to see your loved ones has a significant impact well beyond just this initial number. And so our heart, as the City Council, our heart continues to go out towards the families of those who have lost their lives. But we know that our first responders, our frontline workers, are also significantly impacted because they are the ones that are putting in the work hour after hour, day after day to serve our community. As of yesterday, Los Angeles County reached the unfortunate milestone of 1,000 deaths from COVID-related incidents, which brings that number started in March 11th. So we have seen an increase in the deaths over the last several weeks, and it's unfortunate that we've hit that number of 1,000. Thanks to our media partners at The Signal, you can see the graph on display that shows the continual rise in a number of cases, as well as what has been reported day over day. So yesterday, as of the 28th, as of yesterday, there were 597 newly confirmed cases in LA County with 59 reported deaths. So what does that, again, there shows the total cases day by day. As again, you can see some spikes, which as you've probably seen and in the notes there, some days you're going to have spikes as a result of backlogs of reporting, and that doesn't always mean that those were the actual day over day new cases, but those that are just getting reported. And we know that the county has said some numbers are adjusted on a daily basis due to the backlog of cases. So what do we see here in Santa Clarita? And I think that that's what's important to talk about. As of yesterday, there are 438 confirmed cases here in the Santa Clarita Valley. But I think it's important to keep those numbers in perspective. That doesn't mean there are 438 current cases here in the Santa Clarita Valley. That is just a total number of cases since the first case was confirmed back, it looks around March 12th, March 13th. So I think that's an important number to remember, that is total cases since reporting began 6+ weeks ago. Also, the numbers that are being applied to the Santa Clarita Valley go beyond just our city limits. The county is using from Val Verde all the way to Acton and Agua Dulce as the Santa Clarita Valley reporting area. So you're looking at a population close to 300,000 and resulting in those 438 cases since early March. And I think it's important to remember when you look at the comparison from Santa Clarita to other parts of the other areas of the county, we do have higher numbers because you are incorporating a higher population base into the Santa Clarita area. The city alone of Santa Clarita is still the third largest city in Los Angeles County, behind Los Angeles and Long Beach. And when you add in the unincorporated areas, you're getting to a very large metropolitan suburban area. And if you took that same population or the same geography in other parts of LA County, you would see numbers that are probably much higher than we have here in Santa Clarita, but they are just reporting by unincorporated city to unincorporated city. So I think it's important that we have perspective on the numbers. It's certainly important that we continue to track our confirmed cases. But again, just because we have shown there have been 438 confirmed cases in the Santa Clarita Valley as of yesterday, it does not equate to 438 active cases here in the Santa Clarita Valley. I think what's really important to track is our number of hospitalizations. And as you can see, a chart that the city put together shows a graph of an increase, but you can see the trend line continues to drop. At my last presentation of April 20th, we were at 35 hospitalizations. Today, we are down to 18. And I think that number continues to show that Santa Clarita is really doing our part to reduce the number of cases. We're following the orders, and it really is working. So regardless of what decisions are being made at Los Angeles County or the state about lifting orders or amending the safer at home orders, you can clearly see that Santa Clarita is doing our part. When it comes to capacity, that is, I know, key for the governor and others. We clearly have the capacity in place at our local facilities at Henry Mayo to provide the treatment that's needed. And again, as our numbers continue to decline, that just increases our capacity. The number of cases, again, in Santa Clarita are relatively flat. Yesterday, we saw a big spike, but that was from an increase in reporting from the community of Val Verde that went from 7 reported cases to 34 reported cases just in one day. And that's clearly as a result of a backlog in reporting. We're also going to continue to see cases and confirmations because we are testing more. Santa Clarita has a mobile testing facility, and we have tested over 4,000 tests have been performed at the mobile facility at the College of the Canyons since it was put in place. So as it stands to reason that the more people we test, the greater the population, the higher the number we're going to see. But again, let's keep that in perspective. And when you look at the hospitalization numbers, that's where you see the real encouraging signs that fewer and fewer the cases are requiring hospitalization, and more people are able to go back home and be discharged from the hospital. And many of the people that have tested positive over these last several weeks have done their shelter in place, have done their quarantine, their self-isolation, and have likely made it through, are now testing negative, and are back to work or back to a regular schedule. So I wanted to share that news to start with because I wanted to focus on some of the positive, because we do have very good news here in Santa Clarita. But I also wanted to share with you some preliminary reports on our city budget. No doubt that almost 2 months of nearly zero economic activity is going to impact the city of Santa Clarita. Just like you're hearing significant impacts to other cities, the county of Los Angeles, and certainly the state of California. If you look at the chart on the screen, it outlines how our city budget revenues are received. And you can see the two largest parts of the city revenue come from sales tax as well as property tax. You can see that development fees, franchise fees, other revenue plays a part, but overwhelmingly our city budget relies on sales tax and property tax. Currently, we estimate a loss of revenue reaching in the double digits of percentage drop, and that is without a doubt going to impact our city. We also expect to see a significant decrease in the TOT tax, which is transit occupancy tax, hotels and other services that we use for when visitors are staying in our local hotels. We also anticipate a double-digit drop in TOT revenue. So as a result, the city has already taken the step to cancel our spring recreation classes. Some of that obviously had to do with the lack of facilities being open, but the revenue impact certainly came into play. We are evaluating whether or not there will be any summer activities as well. So that will be, again, I think, dictate as a combination of revenue and what is available, what the state and county say about social distancing and public gatherings. So that's the bad news. The good news is the city of Santa Clarita has always run a very fiscally conservative budget, and we currently have a 20% emergency operating reserve in place for challenging times like this. The city is no stranger to operating under difficult circumstances. You go back to the Great Recession, and Santa Clarita was one of the few cities that was able to continue to provide services and endure the loss of revenue and absorb the loss of revenue as a result of that recession. And that comes from our city's philosophy when it comes to budgeting. The decisions that we make during the good fiscal times are much more important than the decisions we make during the difficult times. And that's where we are. The decisions we've made while times have been good and the economy has been roaring is putting us in a position to absorb the impact of this economic downturn. Also, some positive news. Key programs, key projects like the sheriff's station, the community center in Canyon Country, those will not be impacted. They have already been funded, and you will continue to see construction and development on those two key city projects that we hope to keep online and will open up in 2021. Obviously, these are numbers based on the current economic projections. Certainly, if the state or county chooses to extend the current orders, we will see a greater impact. And we know that even as Santa Clarita and other areas continue to slowly open, it's not going to be an automatic return to normal. So while there will be additional revenue coming in, it will be decreased, but hopefully that will soften the impact. The city will continue to evaluate our budget numbers, and we do plan to pass our city budget on deadline by June 15th, June 30th time, so it will be in place for the next fiscal year. I know that there's been a lot of questions, and there probably will be questions about timing of opening. And you've seen other counties have started to make progressions to opening, excuse me, whether it be Ventura County, Riverside County. Yesterday, Orange County voted on opening pathways. LA County took the first steps thanks to a motion from our supervisor, Catherine Barger, to start outlining the return to opening here in Los Angeles County. So we look forward to seeing what that looks like. But as I said earlier, when you look at the numbers, Santa Clarita is absolutely doing our part. And if there is any impact, if the county chooses not to reopen as quickly as we would like, that is certainly not a result of anything we're doing here in Santa Clarita. Over the weekend, I knew from firsthand, as well as reports from our staff, that our parks continue to remain open and people are following the social distancing guidelines. Our trails and our paseo systems remain open. and the community is doing a tremendous job. You look at our retail stores, our essential businesses, people are wearing their masks. Our employers are protecting their employees by putting in the necessary, whether it be PPE or plexiglass barriers if you look at going to grocery stores and others. So Santa Clarita is unquestionably doing our part, and we look forward to hearing what the LA County's report says next week about the opportunity to reopen. I think it's important to remind everyone that because the city of Santa Clarita does not have our own public health department, we are reliant on the direction of Los Angeles County as well as the state of California when it comes to the definition of essential businesses, timelines of what can be opened, and the guidelines around social distancing. It's certainly my hope that come May 15th, when the current Safer at Home order expires, that Los Angeles County will amend that order to allow for the beginnings of a soft reopening throughout Los Angeles County, as you see a number of other counties doing the same. But we will have to wait and see what the numbers say, and I believe the county will issue a report next week, providing some more clarity on the goals and targets. And so lastly, I just want to, I mentioned it earlier, our frontline employees throughout the community, whether it be those working in the healthcare field, our grocery workers, our restaurant employees, our trash pickup employees, so many people throughout Santa Clarita that are doing the best they can to serve our community, to keep us up and running to the best of their ability. And the one thing the city wants to do is continue to show our support through our Hearts for Hero program. I'm wearing our Hearts for Hero t-shirt, and this is a campaign that allows people to post and thank our essential frontline workers during the pandemic. Again, you can take part by downloading the template on santa-clarita.com/hearts4heroes, and then you can decorate and display it, it in front of your home or in your windows, in your car. And if you take a picture and send to us, we will then be able to share it with our frontline employees. You can post it on your social media using the hashtag Hearts4Heroes. You can also order a t-shirt like we have through our local company via promotionals, and a portion of those proceeds will go to the Henry Mayo Newhall Hospital Foundation. The link is also on the Hearts for Heroes page on the right column of the city's emergency website, santaclaritaemergency.com. We will also post some of the charts that we used here today on the emergency website as well, again, showing our budget revenues, our hospitalization numbers, so everyone can visit up-to-date information as well. So I'm happy to, as always, take questions, answer them to the best of my ability. But again, Santa Clarita, we are doing our part in this community, and that cannot be disputed.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Armin is asking why some car washes are open while others are closed.
So I think with some car washes do provide maintenance, which has been deemed an essential business. Some car washes do not, and so that would take them out of the essential business category, although some have chosen on their own to not be open due to the cost of operations and not seeing enough customers. But if you are a car wash that provides oil changes or other services or maintenance, you do fall under the essential business category and are able to remain open.
Tisha is asking, when do youth sports get to open back up?
That's a great question. And again, as a parent of kids that are participating in our youth sports program or our high school sports programs, I am very cognizant of the impact of that. We know, as I said earlier, that there are no spring sports. We would like to have summer sports opportunities. We haven't So we're going to do everything we can to keep those going, but that's going to depend on the guidelines from the state and county about gatherings. And if the ordinance isn't lifted or it's still kept at a very small group of gatherings, it's going to be difficult for us to have anything in the summer. But we certainly would hope to have our youth sports program up and running again for the fall.
It's interesting that a debate is taking place in our Facebook comments, probably the same one that's taking place across the country, with people saying on one hand, please don't open up too soon, and on the other hand, they're saying open, open, open. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, and I think that as you start looking at the numbers, both the economic numbers as well as the data now coming from testing, it's giving public health officials a better picture of what the virus looks like from area to area. And I think you're going to see the challenges just in California, where you have a significant discrepancy. For example, the 6-county coalition in the Bay Area announced on Monday that they are going to maintain the shelter in place or the safer at home order until June 1st. They want to extend it for another 30 days. Orange County yesterday voted to begin the opening up process immediately, I believe. So you're going to see a varying degree of standards and policies from county to county. And I think we're getting to that point where you have enough data that informed decisions can be made, and whether that is to open, how quickly to open, when to start that process. And you're going to see other states that have moved forward more aggressively than some more aggressively than others, and we'll see what the data shows from that as well. But I think it is important that as we have this information, it can inform a decision to slowly start the process of what reopening looks like here in Los Angeles County. And again, when you look at the data in Santa Clarita specifically, we are absolutely doing our part. When you look at the hospitalizations, we're really doing great when it comes to that curve. And as the number of cases continues to remain at a steady either decline or leveling off, it shows that the effort we're doing is paying off, and we can start looking at what does reopening look like.
I know in the past we've had questions about marriage licenses. Can you clarify what's going on with those?
Thank you. And I did misspeak at our last update. Marriage licenses at the city and I believe at the county are not being issued at this time. So I apologize if I shared some misinformation at the last update. But currently, there are no marriage licenses being issued here at City Hall.
And we'll wrap up with a couple questions that I know were covered last night during the city council meeting. People want to know what's going on with the ice station.
The ice station is certainly something that has come to our attention. Last month, the owners of the ice station Valencia announced their intent to close. We were not made aware of that until it was public. I have had, and our city staff has had, conversations with members of the community who would like to see the ice station remain open. I have had conversations with prospective investors or those who have expressed interest in purchasing the ice station. And we certainly at the city are willing to have conversations with anybody that is looking to open the ice station or maintain its operation and purchase the building and the facility. But beyond that, that's all I really can share. I know there's been questions about the city becoming involved in acquiring the ice station. That is a difficult discussion to have given what we're looking at from a budget standpoint and the double-digit loss in revenue. So at this point, I can say we've had conversations. We're willing to talk to anybody that is interested in purchasing the ice station, but we have not made any formal decisions or to get involved as the city, and I'm not aware of any agreed upon purchase agreements between two private parties.
Thank you, Mayor. And we'll wrap up. I know a lot of people are anxious to get back to their favorite restaurants and establishments, and Alan would like to hurry up and open schooners.
I don't disagree. I think we all want to reopen as quickly and as safely as possible. I know that our business owners, they want to open, but they also want to be sure that their employees are safe and that they can be provided for with their proper PPE. They want their customers to be safe, and certainly I share that desire. And if we can, at least for the next 2 weeks until May 15th, we know the order isn't going to be lifted prior to that. If we can still visit and use our purchase from our favorite restaurants, keep them going. If you have the ability to support our local nonprofits, please continue to do that as well. But when you look at the numbers as a whole, it's important to keep it in perspective that there are not 438 active cases in the Santa Clarita Valley. Our hospitalizations have dropped significantly from 35 just 8 days ago to 18 today. Santa Clarita is absolutely doing our part. And when the decision comes down to start reopening Los Angeles County, we know in Santa Clarita that our efforts made a difference to get our community and get our state back up and running. So thank you for what you're doing. Please continue to stay aggressive with our social distancing, with our wearing your masks. Our city parks continue to be open. Our trails continue to be open. Unlike the city of Los Angeles, we've been able to keep those facilities open because the people who are using them are following the guidelines. And as long as we're able to do that, we'll be able to keep these facilities open for the community to enjoy. Thank you.